Hey everyone, welcome back. Ready to dive into something pretty fascinating today. We're going to be exploring mindfulness
Mindfulness.
and not just, the basics.
Right.
We're going deep, really trying to understand how ancient practices and modern science are kind of coming together around this idea.
Yeah.
And we've got this awesome book as our guide, Awakening the Mind, Ancient Wisdom for Modern Living. It is jam-packed with insights. We're talking about how mindfulness can reshape our brains, even influence our genes.
It really is amazing. It's not just some new age thing anymore. The science is really backing up just how powerful these practices can be.
Okay, so let's break that down a bit. You said powerful, and I think most people when they hear mindfulness, they think okay, I might feel calmer, a little less stressed. But we're talking about actual physical changes here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where this whole idea of epigenetics comes in. It's pretty complex, but basically, think of your genes like light switches.
Okay.
Some are on, some are off. Mindfulness can actually act as a dimmer switch. It can influence which genes are expressed, how strongly they're turned on.
So you're saying that just by being mindful, we can literally change how our genes behave.
In a way, yeah. That's what the research is showing.
Wow. That's pretty wild. So what kind of impact does that actually have on us?
Well, studies are showing that mindfulness can directly affect genes that control our stress response.
Stress response.
So it's almost like turning down the volume on those stress signals. Makes sense, right? You're calmer, your body's under less stress, and that leads to a healthier you.
Okay, so we were talking about our genes changing, but what about this whole rewiring the brain idea? How does that fit in?
Right, so that's where neuroplasticity comes in. Big word, I know.
Yeah.
But basically it just means our brains are constantly changing, forming new connections based on our experiences.
Right.
So mindfulness, you can think of it like a workout for your brain.
Okay.
It strengthens the connections that help with focus, emotional regulation, self-awareness, all that good stuff.
So it's like giving your brain an upgrade.
Exactly.
Okay. I'm all for an upgrade, but before we go any further, let's define what we mean by mindfulness here. Because the book describes it as, and I'm going to quote this, the art of being fully present in the here and now, of awakening to each moment with an open heart and an inquisitive mind.
I like that.
Yeah, what resonates with you about that definition?
Well, I think, so many of us today, we're just caught up in this rat race, right?
Really?
We're bombarded with information, constantly planning, worrying, scrolling. I mean, it just never stops.
It's exhausting.
Exactly. And mindfulness, it's about hitting pause on that chaos, actually tuning into this present moment.
It's like finally being present in our own lives rather
Yeah.
than just rushing through them.
Exactly.
It's kind of amazing to think we can actually rewire our brains and influence our genes just by being more present.
Oh.
But how do we actually do that? Because the book talks about, practical techniques like meditation and mindful eating. So let's start with meditation. What's the key to actually incorporating that into our crazy busy lives?
What I love about mindfulness meditation is that it's actually pretty simple. You don't need any special equipment or, hours of free time. The book, it breaks it down in a way that makes it seem doable for anyone, even if you've never meditated before.
See, that's good to hear because, I've tried those meditation apps and I get distracted.
Yeah.
I can't.
You're not alone.
Yeah.
It's really about starting small. Find a comfortable position. Close your eyes and just focus on your breath. Just notice, the rise and fall of your chest, that gentle sensation of each inhale, each exhale.
Okay.
It's like anchoring yourself to the present moment.
Okay. So it sounds simple enough, but
It is.
our minds, they have other plans sometimes, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Your mind is going to wander, and that's totally normal. Don't get discouraged. When you notice that happening, just gently guide your attention back to your breath. It's like a gentle training for your attention span.
I like that. It's like a workout for our wandering minds.
Exactly.
The book also mentions different types of meditation. And one that I thought was really interesting was this loving kindness meditation.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's like sending good vibes out into the world.
Yeah, it is.
What's your take on that?
It's a beautiful practice. Loving kindness meditation is it's about cultivating feelings of love and compassion. And you start with yourself. You focus on sending, kind thoughts and well wishes first to yourself, then to loved ones. And eventually you can even expand that circle to include, strangers, even people that you find difficult.
Wow. That's a powerful concept, to extend compassion even to those who challenge us.
Yeah, it's not always easy, but it's incredibly transformative. And this practice actually ties in directly to what the book explores in chapter 8, which is the power of connection.
Okay.
Building stronger relationships. By cultivating love and compassion within ourselves, we're actually better equipped to extend that outward to others.
So we're not just cultivating a calmer mind, but also like a more compassionate heart.
Exactly.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit from meditation cushions to something that we all do multiple times a day.
Right?
Reading.
Yes.
How can we bring mindfulness to our meals? Because I know I'm guilty of just like not even tasting my food half the time.
Yeah, I think a lot of us eat on autopilot, right?
Yeah.
Shoveling food down between meetings or while, we're scrolling through our phones.
Right, exactly.
Mindful eating, it's about transforming mealtime into a sensory experience.
Okay.
And chapter 6 of the book really dives into emphasizing the importance of engaging all of your senses.
So that means like no more scrolling through social media while I'm, scarfing down a sandwich.
Precisely. Put away the distractions, really focus on the food, notice the vibrant colors, the enticing aromas, the textures, the flavors of each bite. When you slow down, you savor your food like this, you'll be amazed at how much more enjoyable it actually becomes.
Yeah. It's like rediscovering the joy of eating.
Exactly. And it goes beyond just enjoying our food more. Mindful eating actually taps into this fascinating mind-gut connection.
Oh, right. The gut is often called our second brain these days. How does mindfulness play into that?
Right. So our gut, it actually sends signals back to our brain. And this can influence everything from our mood and our sleep to our immune system.
Wow.
And mindful eating, it strengthens that connection. And that can lead to better digestion, improved nutrient absorption, even a more balanced mood.
Wow.
So it's like hitting the reset button on our relationship with food.
It's kind of amazing how something as simple as just paying attention to our food can have such a profound impact on our overall well-being.
Yeah.
But the book doesn't stop there, does it?
It doesn't.
It takes this concept of mindfulness even further. It's suggesting it can have an impact on the world around us.
That's right. The book, it challenges us to explore this whole concept of global consciousness, this idea that we're all interconnected.
So we're moving beyond just like our own personal experience of mindfulness to something much, much larger.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to grasp that? So we're moving beyond just like our own personal experience of mindfulness to something much, much larger. How do we even begin to grasp that?
Well, I think it starts by recognizing that our actions, they have consequences, and those consequences, they reach far beyond just ourselves, right? The choices that we make every day, the things we buy, even the way we interact with others, it all creates these ripples in the world around us.
It's almost like we're taking that circle of compassion that we were talking about earlier,
right?
But instead of just encompassing, people, we're extending it to the planet as well.
Exactly. And chapters 10 and 11, they really dive into this, highlighting how our inner state of mindfulness can actually influence our relationship with the environment. There's this really interesting story in the book about a man, James, I think his name was, and he found this whole new sense of purpose through sustainable living. And it started with just making these small changes in his everyday life, opting for reusable containers instead of plastic wrap, composting food scraps, biking to work instead of driving. And through these actions, he discovered this really profound sense of connection to something much, much larger than himself.
It's amazing how those small choices, they take on this whole new meaning when we start to connect them to this larger picture of global consciousness. It's not just about recycling. It's about recognizing that, we're all interconnected with the planet and every living thing on it.
And I think that's really where mindfulness becomes truly transformative, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us as well.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
It has.
But before we wrap up, I'm curious, for our listeners who are listening and they're feeling inspired, they want to integrate mindfulness into their own lives, what's one piece of advice that you would give them?
There's this great suggestion in the last chapter of the book that really resonated with me, and that's to start with just 5 minutes of mindful breathing each day.
Okay.
5 minutes.
Just 5 minutes. Find a quiet place, could be anywhere. Close your eyes and just focus your attention on the natural rhythm of your breath. You can do this while you're waiting in line at the grocery store, riding the bus, even during a stressful meeting at work. It's a simple practice, but it's a really powerful way to just kind of ground yourself in the present moment.
It's like a mini vacation for your mind, a
Exactly.
chance to just reset and reconnect.
And from there, you can start to explore other mindfulness practices that resonate with you,
Mm.
whether it's, meditation, mindful eating, or even just bringing a greater sense of awareness to your everyday activities.
Mm.
It all starts with that foundation. So as you go about your day-to-day, take a moment to just notice the sensations of your breath, the feeling of your feet on the ground, the taste of your food. It's in those small moments of presence that we can truly awaken to
Mm.
the richness of our own lives.
Beautifully said. And remember, mindfulness, it's not about being perfect.
Right.
It's not about, emptying your mind and having zero thoughts. It's about approaching each moment with curiosity, with kindness, and just this willingness to be fully present.
I love that. Well said. Until next time, keep diving deep and keep those minds awakening.